They're shooting at me, not you, Monster. Rated R.
Yes, before the days of trying to kill Michael B. Jordan and his crew in Sinners, Jack O'Connor tried to go after the big guns at first with George Clooney and kind of made him a bitch in the process. George Clooney, I'm saying, but made for a pretty good movie, though. Welcome to Time About the Movies, everybody. I don't even know why I'm starting off that way. I just know that Jack O'Connell from Sinners, long before Sinners, was in this movie. I completely forgot he was in there, but we are taking a look at the 4 movies for Friday the 13th of May, 2016. And needless to say, we don't have a whole lot of bad luck movies here. We actually have a good slate of films, with one exception. We'll get to that in a little bit here. But let's talk about the biggest of the new releases, the Jodie Foster-directed Money Monster. In the real-time, high-stakes thriller, George Clooney and Julia Roberts stars as financial TV host Lee Gates and his producer Patty, who report an extreme situation when an irate investor who's lost everything, played by O'Connell, forcefully takes over the studio. During a tense stand-up broadcast to millions on live TV, Lee and Patty must work furiously against the clock to unravel the mystery behind a conspiracy at the heart of today's fast-paced, high-tech global markets. And you really can't go wrong with a movie starring George Clooney and Julia Roberts. I mean, when you think they're going to star in something really terrible, like I always remember that movie Ticket to Paradise they were in a couple of years ago. When I saw the trailers for that, I thought to myself, oh boy, here we go. George Clooney and Julia Roberts are in there. We'll take any paycheck we get part movie. And yeah, it felt like a film that really they did not want to. The trailers made it feel like it was a movie they didn't want to be in, but nevertheless, it made for a fun movie overall. Not a great movie, but a fun film overall. And sure enough, they work again. This movie works partly because of the two of them and how they work well off each other. The performances in this are really good. Clooney and Roberts are great in this, but the true highlight of the movie really is Jack O'Connell giving a real standout performance in this. And who would have guessed that many years down the road he'd become one of our great actors with, like I said, Sinners and also many other films. You know, he was one of the few things I really liked about Back to Black. He was great in Unbroken, the 28 Years Later movies. I mean, he's become a really, really good actor. And in this movie, he really is giving a standout performance playing this investor who's lost everything he had. I mean, you can't take your eyes off this guy in this movie. And it's a performance that, one of those ones that really should have been Oscar-worthy overall, because he is that great in this movie. You also have great performances by Dominic West, Giancarlo Esposito, and Aaron Yoo with these smaller but more important parts of the storyline. But another performance that really did surprise me was Kaitrona Balfe, who you'll remember as the woman Claire on Starz' Outlander, who plays like the IBIS communications officer. And she really does give a good performance. That's a star-making performance overall. And I really am kind of surprised she hasn't really taken off as an actress as a whole. You would think after this and also the success she's had on Outlander, she would go ahead and get much bigger roles here. But she's been relatively quiet since then. I really do think this is an actress that should be getting some bigger roles here. The movie does a really good job of creating the tension during the hostage situation, showing Clooney's Jim Cramer-esque character, because it really is a Jim Cramer-like role. If you've ever watched his show on, CNBC, Mad Money, I mean, it's literally like that, trying to talk his way through the situation. All throughout the film, it does a good job of making the tension and the action work as well as it does. And Jodie Foster, man, I mean, you forget that she can be a really good director. She takes a movie like Nell, which feels like a movie that's going to be one of those cliche, give me an Oscar type of film, and nevertheless, it makes for a pretty good movie overall. She did not direct that movie, I don't think. You know what it was? I got it confused because I remember, I think it was a Saturday Night Live sketch where they parodied Nell, and I thought that was a movie they were making a big deal about because it was Jodie Foster's big directorial debut. That was incorrect, and I should apologize for that. And mostly because I'm not going back and doing that review all over again, but as a director, she has made some good stuff. I mean, the best thing she's directed was Home for the Holidays, and that's a great, underrated holiday movie, so yeah, it shows what she can do as a director, and this is her first more dramatic film she's directed, and she does show off an incredible sense of direction that actually would help her direct more action-based movies on the level of something like Catherine Bigelow. But again, not really getting a whole lot of opportunities to do that, honestly. I don't know if she just doesn't want to do it, or, you know, she wants to focus on acting more, but I think there is a bright future for her as a director. If there is one downside to the movie, I give it this. It's that I think they throw in a little too much comedy in this, and even points where you really don't know if you're supposed to be laughing or not. Like, there's a point in the movie where the police bring in Jack O'Connor's pregnant girlfriend to try to talk him down, and she does nothing but insult him. And the audience I saw it with was laughing their ass off, and I'm the only one that isn't, because I'm thinking to myself, you know, I don't think the movie was trying to make this as funny as it should have been. I don't know, maybe it was just me, but the scene didn't really have a motivation behind it. Like, wasn't intended to be funny, wasn't intended to be serious. Even after I watched it again on TV in later years, I still can't get the grasp of what they were trying to accomplish here. Like, I think the idea of what that scene was trying to do completely looked over everybody, and, like, I don't know, the scene just didn't play out well enough to convince me of such a thing. I felt like that was a scene that could have been more... They could have decided more what direction and angle they wanted to go with that, but I do really enjoy this movie a lot. I think it's a very underrated film. The tension, the performances are really good. I mean, it's a good job of building up what's going to happen with this guy who's trying to, you know, get revenge on this guy that he thinks screwed him over with a bad investment. But when it goes for a dramatic element, it works. But when they try too hard to go into the realms of comedy, it kind of falls flat. I mean, granted, there are times when, you know, again, this is the second movie this year with Hail Caesar that shows George Clooney getting tossed around a little bit here for comedic purposes. And sometimes it works in this movie, but in Hail Caesar I thought it worked a whole lot better. But this, a good movie, but needed a better motivation in terms of storytelling overall. This is still a very underrated film that I do recommend checking out if you want to see another good Jodie Foster directed effort and see George Clooney and Julia Roberts working again. And a great performance by the two stars in here, the two breakouts in here, Jack O'Connell and Kate Balfe. A really good movie, a really good film. That could have been a really great film had the story had been a little more refined. So let's get to our one stinker of the week, and that is The Darkness. Yeah, spoiler alert, there's no such thing as a perfect family. Every family has flaws to it. You know, those YouTube family channels out there, go watch all the exposés on all those families, and you'll see that, yeah, but there is no such thing as a perfect family, so... That's your first mistake on trying to sell the movie on that front there, but stop me if you've heard this, because this is such a revolutionary storyline that I can't believe nobody else has thought of before. The film is about a family who visits the Grand Canyon and brings home a supernatural force that feeds off their fears and takes over their lives. Hi, Poltergeist! Yeah, it's Poltergeist. It's Poltergeist, except with a Blumhouse budget and nowhere near as scary or as memorable. I mean, for God's sakes, I don't think the movie even knows what it's trying to do. Is what it's trying to do in terms of the scares in this. Like, they've got way too many. They've got way too many talented people in this. Kevin Bacon, Rhoda Mitchell, Lucy Fry, Matt Walsh, Jennifer Morrison, Ming-Na Wen, Paul Reiser. A lot of good people in this, and they're given nothing to do here. Let's talk about the same guy that did Wolf Creek. Wolf Creek was one of those. Was an unexpected breakout hit when it came out back in 2005, I should say. 2015. Where'd that come from? But yeah, but here. It really did not feel like they had any idea what kind of a story they wanted to tell. It's like someone said, let's just do Poltergeist except we won't make it as scary as possible. But I mean, if the one thing I remember from this movie was the girl getting this black stuff on her while she's wearing a white shirt, it's just like if that's the one thing I remember from it, something better be scary happening around that. But no, nothing ever is. I don't even think the movie even has an idea of what's supposed to be the main threat in this movie in here, because it's just like anything can go ahead and kill him. It's just kind of like, okay, make a point of it, do something about it instead of just trying to be lazy about it, because that's what this is, laziness, pure laziness. But then again, this is the problem with Blumhouse. Sometimes they'll give you a good movie here, but then they give you a piece of garbage like this. And this is definitely a steaming pile of shitty garbage. So I think you get the point. So let's go ahead and get back to some good movies. Let's go ahead and move on to our next film, which is the film from Yorgos Lanthimos, and that is The Lobster.
Have you thought of what animal you'd like to be if you're not alone?
Yes, a lobster.
A lobster is an excellent choice.
Why the hell did I say it like that, man? The Lobster. Like I was trying to be... Like it's me trying to read those long titles, you know. Batman, the Doom who came to Gotham. Like you feel like you have to say it in a different language or something like that, but... Needless to say, this is clearly a Yorgos Lanthimos movie, and it definitely shows in the absurdity of it. And it's also from A24, so that's what you get when you get a film directed by him, released by this company. But the film follows a newly single bachelor who moves into a hotel with other singles who are obliged to find a romantic partner within 45 days, otherwise they will be transported into animals. And you've got a cast that includes Colin Farrell, Rebecca Wise, good lord. I don't know what's wrong with me today. Rachel Weisz, Olivia Colman, Ashley Jensen, John C. Reilly, Leah Sado, and Ben Whishaw. And, yeah. As I said, this is exactly what you get with a Yorgos Lanthimos movie. I mean, it's going to be bizarre, it's going to be odd, it's going to have a lot of stuff that makes no goddamn sense, but at the same time, it's beautiful to look at, and it's kind of awesome, because that's exactly what this movie is. I mean, this is exactly what you think of when you think of a movie by this guy, and yeah, it doesn't have the stronger performances like his later films would have that kind of mesh well with the absurdity of it, but the fact that this movie goes for the levels that it goes to here, I mean, what more can you ask for with a film like this? I mean, the plot is literally, you need to find somebody within 5 weeks, or you're going to turn into an animal. Why? We don't know. We're just going to go with it. This is a hotel that has rules like, masturbation is banned, sexual simulations by the hotel maids are mandatory. Just like, this movie makes no sense, but the beauty of a movie like this is that it doesn't need to make sense. As long as it's entertaining you, then you should not have a problem with it whatsoever. If you know this director's work, you should know good and goddamn well what you're going into seeing here. And yeah, this thing is a ton of fun overall. It's a great movie to show. Like, if you're just coming in after stuff like The Favorite or Poor Things or Kinds of Kindness or Begonia, and you haven't seen this movie, this is definitely a film you need to see. It's a movie that's so absurd, so ridiculous, but nevertheless, it's fun. It's a fun film all across the board. One I do recommend checking out for just how absurd it can actually be to give you entertainment value. And it definitely does show that, and then some. So yeah, that is The Lobster. So let's go ahead and move on to our last movie. Loki, starring in a small budget movie this weekend alongside Jeremy Irons. This is High Rise.
All right, sir.
A movie that kind of feels like it should be in the same level of something like The Lobster, except nowhere near as crazy. But I mean, what kind of a tower has all that stuff inside of that building? But it takes place inside a luxury tower block in 1975 and features a wealth of modern conveniences. The building allows its residents to become gradually uninterested in the outside world. The infrastructure then begins to fall, and tensions between residents become apparent as the building soon descends into chaos. The director of this is Ben Wheatley, and Ben Wheatley is a guy who you may be recently more familiar with directing Meg 2: The Trench, but also he most recently directed Bob Odenkirk's Normal. I haven't seen that one, but I've seen Meg 2: The Trench, which was okay, nothing too great. I think that one's biggest problem was that the sharks came in way too late for the real fun factor to come into play, because once the sharks come in, it's a ton of fun at that point. Other than that, though, yeah, the first half really is kind of half-assing it there, but this one overall is pretty good. I haven't read the book this is based off of, and I know that one of the big complaints about it was that it didn't feel like it fit into what the book was based on, but I mean, it was released in the same year this is supposed to take place, and yeah, of course they're going to modernize it for the generation that we're in right now, and for what they did, I thought they did a pretty good job with it. The casting overall is really good. You also have Sienna Miller, Luke Evans, and Elizabeth Moss, and the visual style overall is really cool, and you are invested in what's going on in this tower overall, and it does give you a chance to see Tom Hiddleston do something outside of his norm, like outside of playing Loki and all that. Like, it really does give him an opportunity to branch out and show what he can do as an actor in general, and I think he did a pretty good job with it overall. It's one that doesn't get really talked about all that much, but it is a ton of fun overall. I do recommend checking it out if you haven't seen it. High Rise is definitely one I say definitely check out. And thus, with all that said, we wrap up another episode of Time About the Movies. Next time we meet, we only have 2 movies to look at, and we're continuing the month of May off on a pretty good note here. It's going to end on a bad note because of the 2 films we're going to take a look at next time. It's on Thursday, I should say. But nevertheless, we do have 2 really good movies that come out next week. The Angry Birds movie, which is the one that I think really is the first film to prove that to become the first truly good video game movie, even though most people really don't like that movie, and I can't really figure out why that is, but we'll take a look at that, and we'll also take a look at one of the few really good comedy sequels, Neighbors 2: Sorority Rising, which is one where, yeah, kind of like with some of the other comedy sequels coming, it on paper it felt like one that didn't feel like it needed to be made. It was only getting made because the first film was such a success, but nevertheless, they took it to the next level and made a pretty fun sequel overall. We'll touch on why that is, along with our review for the Angry Birds movie that's coming up next time on the show, which will be tomorrow, of course. But with all that said, thank you so much for watching this. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please go ahead and do me the honors of hitting that like button, that subscribe button, and that notification button. Also, don't forget to check out our playlist, and don't forget to check out the previous episode we did. So with all that said, whether it's in the past, the present, or the future, I will see you at the movies. Take care.